Sorry. I think Indiana, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
We're just going over the calendar, and Steve raised the point about, I think it's June 12th. Yeah. On June 12th, that we currently have orientation / photo shoot.
Okay.
You have openings 16th, 17th, 18th, 22nd, 24th, 5th. 18th is June 29th and 30th. There are rows of open dates on the calendar.
Okay, let's take it back. I was also trying to avoid a situation of trying to get all 15 of the new members to come back, but I'll take that back and we'll look at for the photo shoot, just the photo shoot. We'll leave the orientation on the 12th, not on the same. Well, let's think about it. You and I will take it away and see.
During the GM.
What'd you say?
During the GM, or do we think it's going to take a long time?
That's a good point. Well, we wanted to do it. Yeah. We want to do it. So the question was is whether we should just do it at the general board meeting.
Yes.
But the problem with that is we do have an idea for the backdrop being the bridge. And so we were looking in two locations, either near the bridge, or we were actually also looking at the roof of the radio tower. Neither are locations where we would have our general meeting.
Where are we having, I'm thinking of the following, if we have the general meeting by, what, is that a Columbia building? I think so. Where we usually have it, by the Armory.
Bangalores,
There is an outdoor space facing the bridge, I think. Oh, you mean in that big lecture room that has an outdoor? Yes.
That's what you're saying. Okay.
Just look at it.
Yeah.
It's an option.
That's
if you
not
want
a
to
bad
have it there, yeah.
Okay. No, let's do that. Let's see if we can get Vagelos for the June general meeting, and then we can also coordinate the photo that night. Okay, I think that actually works. Great.
Anthony, one question. So we're still planning though June 11th to do the Inwood rezoning? Okay.
Yes.
All right, just wanted to confirm. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else for calendars?
Can I, was this town hall, I'm sorry, just a quick question. Who is organizing the town hall?
Indiana. Well,
Indiana.
housing.
And that's a conflict with Tanisha's meeting.
Yes, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
okay,
There's only 2 members that overlap, so they'll be excused if they don't attend youth and education. So Jay Baez, who I don't think is attending either anyway, and Stefan De Jesus. Okay, anything else? All right, I'm gonna jump into my report then. So a couple of updates engaging in the community this past Saturday. You may remember we passed a resolution several years ago in support of the Inwood Sacred Site that is being developed as part of BRC's women's shelter on 212th Street. They did a pre-showing of the site on Saturday, invited some members of the community to attend. I attended on behalf of the board to see the room, which is already constructed, and the area that will be outside as part of that site. And it was really, I mean, it's beautiful. I think the way that they presented it to the board is certainly coming to life. At this point, they're currently looking for funding because obviously it's going to take some funding in the millions. But with their current projections, the plan is to open it in late 2028. So stay tuned. When it is completed, they've already invited the board, and so we'll do something alongside BRC at that point. We are also currently working with the community group to do a cleanup event on June 6th, Saturday, June 6th. I don't know what community organization that was we met with on Friday.
So they're parents they're associated with the Parents Association PSS 187.
Okay, Parents Association of PSS 187. Great. And so this is to kick off a series of cleanup events. volunteer events that the board will partner with. I'm going to encourage as many members to attend as possible. It will start in the morning, so assuming June 6th will be a hot day. Hopefully in the morning it's not so hot. More to come on that. On internships, starting next week, we have our first intern coming. Sorry, in 2 weeks, our first intern is coming, our outreach intern. We're gonna have him working on 3 primary things to start. Our resource directory is a bit outdated. It's on our website. It is something that the community board is required to have and maintain. So we're gonna pass that off to our intern and have him begin updating that. We're also going to have him work on the 2 town halls that we have scheduled. So Indiana, you'll have the outreach intern supporting you throughout that event. And then same thing at the residential street parking town hall, that outreach intern will be present for that as well. And then the other idea we have is for this person to take the work of the outreach committee. They're going to go into hiatus too over the summer, so they'll take over whatever open projects that committee has been working on through those summer months and then pass it back to the outreach committee at the end of their internship. In July, we have our second City College intern coming. That's our policy intern. And when both of those interns are overlapping, the goal is to have them both work together on what I'm envisioning to be a sort of A to Z, soup to nuts type manual that contains everything Community Board 12 should be doing from January to December, broken down by month, so we know in advance what it is exactly we need to do each month. In years past, in recent years, unfortunately, we've missed some deadlines around our district needs statement, and countless other things that the community board's opinion was requested for. I think having this document that we could just pull off the shelf and refer to each month will help mitigate some of those efforts that we've lost. Any questions about that? Okay, and then the last thing is on appointments. So as I had already mentioned, we are appointing 15 new, well, the borough president is appointing 15 new members to our board. That's how many vacancies we have. That's expected at the end of this month. So they will begin, you'll start seeing them appear in June. As I said, we're going to do orientation on June 12th. I mentioned some details around that. More to come. It's going to be at recirculation. The only thing I'll ask, so we currently have quite a number of vacancies. I've noticed that some of our committees have been struggling to reach quorum. Please do all you can in advance of meetings to reach out to your members and remind them dates, times, email them as much as you can. If people aren't showing up and they haven't reapplied, also let me know and we can figure out, perhaps we just remove them off your committee so that there's a quorum. But the last thing we want is, especially for the month of June, as the new members have not yet been appointed to committees, that your committees can't get work done because they're not reaching quorum. Any questions? Yes.
I don't know, I thought you would agree to not to do the orientation on Friday night.
No, we're not going to do the photo shoot that
I
night.
wouldn't do anything on a Friday night.
So orientation, to be clear, is not an invitation to the entire executive committee
Yeah,
this year.
still.
Yeah.
You don't know who these 15 people are gonna be.
Yeah.
You don't know if any of them are Sabbath observers. It's just, I think it's just the wrong thing to do, wrong message to send to people. There are other nights we can hold meetings. We should not do any meeting at all on a Friday night.
Okay, we'll take that away. Thank you, Steve.
Can I say something
Yes,
to that?
yes.
As the person who is frequently registering unhappiness
Yes.
around conflicts with being Jewish.
Yeah.
I also recognize that there are a number of conflicts. So I think that while it is a lovely gesture to go out of our way to not schedule meetings at times that would be unavailable to people who are Sabbath observant, if you can establish, we can't actually say, are you Jewish? You can't say, are you Sabbath observant? But you can say, does this meeting constitute a conflict for you? And if the answer is no, then I don't see any reason why we should withhold an otherwise convenient time just because it doesn't work, for me, you, Lori, or
Yeah, and
whatever.
Kiana and I did look at the calendar before setting that date.
Like, not a lot of
We-
dates about it.
We should go back and see why we chose that date, but there were reasons why we chose that date.
There were, again, there are a half a dozen other open dates, within that time frame. So it's not as though that's the only date you could choose. And even if Friday was not a Sabbath date, people have better things to do on a Friday night than to come to meetings. If people like to maybe, and enjoy themselves and then go out and go to a movie or something else. I would never hold a meeting, no matter what, on a Friday night.
Okay,
You-
point taken. We're moving on.
Yeah.
We're gonna go to the next item on the agenda,
Another,
unless you have a different point.
yeah, but yeah.
What's your different point?
On the community cleanup that you're working on,
Yes,
does it involve both sides of Broadway?
it doesn't involve both sides of Broadway. There's a specific,
So whoever wants to.
no, he's asking about the location of the cleanup, which is, remind me.
No.
It's,
But they are open to opening it up more to
Yeah.
different street. But so right now they're looking at Overlook, they're looking at the 187 corridor, they're looking at.
oh, sorry, Kiana, can you,
I'm sorry.
thank you.
Can you hear me? So right now they're looking at the Overlook corridor from 184 up the hill. They're looking at 187th Street between Cabrini and Fort Washington. They're looking at the area in front of the park, and then depending if they get more volunteers, they wanna add more streets. But right now, they're a little group, and they're hoping that with board support, they can expand to allow more streets to be used.
So to be clear, the Parents Association of PSIS 187 is looking at an area around PSIS
Yeah.
187.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. But to be clear, also, this is a kickoff of a series that we're trying to partner with other groups to do. And so we will be looking throughout the district. I've already talked to Councilmember De La Rosa about this idea. She's on board. She wants to help organize some of these as well. So stay tuned. Anything else on my updates? Any questions? Yes.
In terms of cleanups, I just want to note that in collaboration with the Uptown People's Congress, the councilwoman had a really successful cleanup event. Not last Saturday, the Saturday before, with just like a whole bunch of other people, and that was a great model.
Yeah. Yeah, we saw that too, and that's part of the reason I wanted to talk to her about it, because I also thought that was great. Okay. I will now turn it to our district manager, Kiana Diaz.
Thank you. Sorry, this report is gonna be a little long. I know we tried to keep it short and brief. So just the upcoming event, as the chair mentioned, we have the Mother's Day event that's gonna be this Saturday at Bocadito from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. And then on June 11th, we're going to be having the Inwood rezoning post of agreement town hall. This is totally on housing. On the first 25 points of agreement, and that is going to be at the Oscar de la Renta School, which is home to PS 18 and PSMS 278 on 9th Avenue. It's better to say it that.
Send me your report so that
I will
go
send you that report, don't worry.
Thanks.
And then on June 20th, we will be collaborating with the Parents Supporting Parents on the Juneteenth event, which is gonna be on 163rd Street. As the chair also mentioned, we're gonna be partnering with many different cleanups in the area over the summer. The first one that we're starting with is the one at PSIS 187, and that is going to be on June 6th from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. The board will also be sponsoring, we're gonna be giving them water bottles, we're trying to get them the little garbage pickup things that look like weeders. And we're gonna be coordinating with the Department of Sanitation so that they can pick up the garbage once we're all done. And then I just wanted to give an update. I know that I spent Heidi and Indiana an update about the fire that happened on 207 Dyson Street. So, and Tanisha and Anthony. So I'll share with the rest of the committee. So there was a, hold on. So the cause of the fire on Dyson Street. The FDNY responded at 12:39 a.m. The fire was brought under control by 3 a.m. The cause of the fire was that a resident from the building flicked a lit cigarette into a cardboard box, and that cardboard box ignited a fire into the hallway all the way up to the 5th floor in the building. And it made its way to the roof. That specific resident, because he was a resident of the building, is in custody and he has been charged with criminally negligent homicide. There were 13 individuals that were affected by the incident. Two people sustained minor injuries. 2 people sustained moderate, non-life-threatening injuries. 1 person sustained moderate injuries, and 5 people sustained life-threatening injuries, including 2 adults and 2 children. There have been 3 fatalities confirmed at the time of the reporting. Up until 2 weeks ago, and I have to follow back up with the police and with Presbyterian. But they were still searching for more bodies, and they had told me when we were on site that the fatality count might increase. 39 families have been displaced. The Department of Buildings initially put out a full vacate order and now a partial vacate order. And the Red Cross has registered 36 adults, 4 children. What their immediate needs are, as of right now, they need luggages because they're being moved from the shelter, from the hotels over to the shelter, and they're lugging all of their stuff with them. HPD still has a full vacate on the building, and because HPD still has a full vacate on the building, nobody can go back to inhabit their home. And it doesn't look like they're gonna go back home anytime soon. And so there's gonna be a few months without being back home. Trinity Church and the landlord has allowed for the people whose apartments are stable enough for them to go into. He has allowed the family to go in and retrieve some of their belongings that they were able to salvage in the fire. The Trinity Church, which is the Holy Trinity Church, which is located at the corner of Seaman and Cummings, they have established a fire fund for the victim. There are 4 drop-off sites, donation drop-off sites. Community Board 12 is a drop-off site. The Trinity Church is a drop-off site. Nimick is a drop-off site, and the Manhattan Borough President's Office on 125th Street is also a drop-off site. And let me see, the Borough President's Office is giving up to $10,000 in what are called flash grants. So he's giving these nonprofits like expedited funds in order to help the fire victim. And there was one of the leading attorneys is Manhattan Legal Services is a tenant in the building. Her name is Rita Vega. And so now Manhattan Legal Services is pursuing a case against the landlord. And talking about that landlord, so that building had 107 housing code violations, was already enrolled in the alternative enforcement program. Those of you that are not familiar with the AEP program is basically when you have a number of violations, the city gives you a deadline to cure these violations, and you have missed the deadline numerous times, and then the city will basically put you under the AEP, and you have a new deadline to complete this. If not, you're going to get a fine. And if you do not pay this fine, you get a tax lien when HPD eventually comes in and does like the repairs on the violation that you were after. So they were under that program before the fire occurred. And yes, so they had previous lawsuits in the past. Many of the apartments didn't have any smoke detectors or carbon monoxide detectors. And yeah, they already had over 200 violations. They own other properties in Queens, and they have the same issue in the properties in.
Do you want to take?
I don't,
Oh, yes, can you pass the mic back to her?
Sorry.
Thank you.
Mike Toss. Which end of my 5 minutes?
It's this minute, it's like on the flat side,
Oh,
yeah, that's the.
okay. I do not condone the tenant throwing a lit cigarette into a pile of obviously flammable trash. And I imagine some kind of legal consequence to him feels appropriate. That said, the idea that that guy gets to take the fall for this tragedy when there should not have been a buildup of trash. There should not have been all of these code violations. We're right next to the DA's office. What's the DA doing in terms of criminal charges against this landlord? Cause I'm just,
So
I got nothing.
So there is a criminal investigation ongoing, and like the criminal investigation didn't just end with this one tenant that was fired. More information has come out, basically, so some of the fire escapes were jammed shut. And so you would hear like there were older ladies that were hospitalized because they had to jump out of a window that didn't necessarily have a fire escape. Because the fire escapes were jammed. And then when they tried to leave, so you know how like at the end of the fire escape, there's the ladder and then there's
It
the gate.
didn't,
So there was garbage blocking the where you drop, and there was also garbage blocking the exit to leave out of the area where the fire escape is supposed to come, you're supposed to basically escape from. So the landlord is also being hit with a lawsuit by the city for that. But I can follow up with the district attorney's office too to see if they're gonna pursue.
can the punishment be this guy's gotta live in that building?
Yeah.
So quick question concerning the borough president's flash grants. Those grants are reimbursables.
Yes.
So if the nonprofits who are working do not already have the cash to spend and that get reimbursed, those grants are of no help to them. Could the borough president instead, given the nature of the event, allocate funds to those organizations to assist as opposed to going through this reimbursable program?
So it wouldn't necessarily be a difference. Because if we were to allocate the funds will have to get allocated for the next fiscal year. And they're using it for right now.
Right, but aren't these operating funds that the borough president has to use or lose by the end of this operating year?
Yeah, so the deadline for this emergency grant
It's
is
27.
it has to be used before June 30th. In order for them to be eligible to be reimbursed.
June 30th.
This year.
This year.
Oh,
This is
oh,
year.
wow.
Yeah.
That's why they flash.
2026.
Yeah.
Thank you, sorry, I just wanted to ask,
Flash.
flash, okay, wow.
But yes, so the elected officials all came together. It was beautiful to see many community organizations came together to provide services. There are a lot of people that are traumatized. They say that when they go to sleep, they still hear sirens in their sleep. Inwood Community Services is providing mental health services. Carmen's office is they're collecting food vouchers from the small businesses, also from DoorDash, so that these people are able to eat. WISCA is also providing food for people that are staying with family members. Senator Jackson and Assemblymember De Los Santos office are helping, and the Congress member's office are helping the tenants recover documents. Because they're going to help everywhere, and they're like, well, do you have ideas? Do you have anything? And they're like, no, we ran out of our house, we don't have anything. And then us here at the board office, we were on site, we helped, but we also, there were tenants that didn't have any phones. And so we were working with T-Mobile, we were able to get people some phones. Okay, so that's
Great
that.
work, really, to you, to Paola, to Noemi, great work. Thank you.
I'd be
So,
applauding, but I'm writing.
do you have a question, Steve?
I just want to give an update, reported today.
Mike?
Oh, yes,
Mike?
yes, use that mic. You just speak into it.
I just wanted to give an update. It was reported today that a fourth person has died as a result of the fire. And
That would be one of the kids who had the severe burns.
no, it was Annie Dela Cruz became the fourth person to die after a raging.
Hold the microphone,
Closer.
closer.
Oh, I'm sorry. On Sunday, Annie Dela Cruz became the fourth person to die after a raging May 4th fire on Dyker Street at Broadway. That was sparked by a carelessly lit cigarette. Her daughter said her son died, Lance Garcia, 25, died the day of the blaze after he led, Dela Cruz, his mother, his sister and his grandfather out of their fourth floor apartment to a fire escape 2 floors down, then turned around to help more people upstairs. And, he went back into the building and died and succumbed to, I guess, smoke inhalation. So, this 25-year-old is, did an amazing thing trying to save people and then ended up losing his life.
Yeah.
And this is in addition to, so he and his mother are in addition to a former fashion editor and her mother, who also died in the blaze. So it's now 4 people who have died as in this fire.
Thank you for sharing that.
Okay, and so we were getting calls about overnight work on 181st Street. People apparently weren't able to sleep. The work has been ongoing for months. DOT and Con Edison are reviewing those permits and they're gonna modify those hours. I know that Sonia has sent an email about that. The Trans Manhattan Expressway. So last week, there was debris that was coming that was falling from the ceiling of the Trans Manhattan Expressway. According to the Port Authority, the loose pieces of the non-structural concrete were removed from the westbound local lane. They provided safety netting in targeted areas as a precaution. They inspected the eastbound local lanes as well, and they added additional. They removed loose concrete there as well. They put protective netting, and they're gonna continue to monitor the situation. According to them, what they feel like was the reason for the debris falling down was that in the winter, it was a freeze-thaw cycle that kept being repeated and heavy salt exposure, and that may have contributed to the deterioration in the aging concrete. But the Trans Manhattan Expressway overpass is going to be part of the 2026-2035 capital plan, and that project is currently in the design phase. And for the folks that were concerned about the Rachel Bridge Tower, those buildings have their own separate structural support system, and they were not affected by this issue. And now moving on to the next update, at the DSNY, they informed us that they are now coming out with these new garbage cans. And I spoke to the council member's office this morning to see if she could fund them. The new garbage bin, and these garbage bins come with doggy bags, so that people can clean them after their dog and there's
Great.
no excuse. And then On Point also has an additional team to help them pick up the syringe litter. I asked them on Steve's behest, so I'm gonna reach out to you to see whenever you're ready to ride along, Steve. We wanna do a ride along, right? We wanna see what the operation does. What is, how do you schedule your routes? What is the response time? And so they're gonna get back to us with that. They did send us a flyer for the hotline, so if anybody has any concerns about syringe litter in a specific area, needs it to get cleaned up ASAP, we have that and we can share it with the rest of the board. And they usually respond within 4 hours of getting the request. Lily Brown Playground is now open. The Quisqueya Playground bathrooms are too. The Inwood Hill Park should not be open. They said it was gonna be open in a week, last time I spoke to them. And then Dolphin Park ribbon cutting is going to be on Wednesday.
Nope,
Why?
it's open, but there are some electeds who weren't available on Wednesday at 11, so that's probably gonna be next.
They're gonna move it?
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
That
You
is
got
not
the
happening on
notification?
Wednesday.
yeah, I was-
What time?
they don't know what the date is yet, they haven't said it yet. It was.
I got an invite today, was that, I'm sorry.
No, I got the same.
So they sent they sent an invite for Wednesday, this Wednesday at 11. And then I heard through the grapevine that it was getting postponed until next week, and so I emailed Chris and Jeff at the Port Authority and was like, what's good? And they said yes, and people couldn't make it, so it'll be sometime next week, haven't set the date yet.
Okay.
Okay, so that's no longer.
So let's
happening.
keep our eye on it, but keep me updated.
Yeah,
and it
it's
is
open.
rescheduled.
No, I know it's open.
It's open,
Yeah.
It's the ribbon cutting that we're talking about.
yeah.
So, and then finally, the DOT is bringing the e-bike charging program uptown. We're gonna have Foresight where they're gonna be able to do e-bike battery swaps. One is gonna be on 175th Street, on 172nd Street, on 170th Street, and on 163rd Street. On the table, there's a picture of other locations and where they're supposed to be located at. They are also allowing us, they have a feedback link. They have a feedback portal, and so if anybody wants additional say, please submit it in the feedback portal. If you guys don't like the program, submit it in the feedback portal. The feedback portal is collecting feedback until July 33rd. And that is the end of the report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. You have one question from Steve.
Yeah, let me just say, wearing my box hat. Oh, thank you. Wearing my box hat, I'm told that On Point has been very, very helpful with respect to dealing with the legal issues in the Cascade Playground on Amsterdam Avenue, 180th Street across from On Point's offices. So they have been in the park, I think almost every day, dealing with that issue and helping I guess convince people not to leave behind their wheels. I'm not sure that the little brown playground is open. You've been told it's now open?
Yes, they said it at the district service cabinet.
Really? Okay, I thought we were still doing some work there. Thank you. The sanitation department did you say is putting up the doggy bag dispensers?
They have no doggy bin. We have to pay for them. Somebody gotta pay for them to bring them to the district.
And who's gonna take responsibility for refilling them with the doggy bag waste bags?
That's DSNY.
Are they doing that?
They're supposed to.
Oh, well, okay, that's news. Okay.
Question.
You have a question from Indiana. Go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure I understood the battery charging initiative that you just described. That is for anybody, or is that specific to like deliveristas or?
Anybody that uses that type of battery for their vehicle, they can use that.
Sorry, it kind of cut out. So you said anybody who uses that kind of battery?
Anybody who uses that battery for their electric vehicles can use that.
Oh, for electric vehicles. Okay, got it. For some reason, I thought it was like the kind of batteries for the like electric bikes and stuff that were causing the fire now. It's just electric.
It is, but anybody, so let's say that if you're not a delivery with that, right? But you also have a bike or a scooter that has that type of battery, you can use that.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
But I forgot to mention.
Can you forward this to Indiana?
Yeah.
Yes, I will. The mayor's executive budget came out and the state
Yeah.
budget came out.
The microphone.
The mayor's executive budget came out and the state budget came out. I'm still going through them, but as soon as I'm done with them, I'll send everybody like a report and a brief as to what was in there.
Great.
Wait, seriously?
Well,
That's never happened before. Thank you.
oh, what? A district manager providing? Okay. Yes. Thank you, Kiana. Thank you so much.
Did the state budget come?
It's yes, but it's not agreed on. The senators keep saying,
I mean,
Version.
yeah, the governor made an announcement, but I don't believe it's been signed off on yet by the assembly and the state senate. So for all intents and purposes, it really has yet to be approved.
I know. It's a tactic to say it's been approved, even though it hasn't been, right? State budget. Okay, great. Thank you so much. So we'll now move on to old business. So I had circulated, I believe, on Friday, the revisions I shared last month. Last month we had talked about it briefly, but I don't think many had the opportunity to go through the changes in the bylaws. The changes are primarily focused on the lateness / substantial portion of a meeting language that we had been discussing since January. You may recall we did that survey. Most of you participated in the survey. The results of that survey informed these changes. So for the most part, the substantive changes in the bylaws only relate to this lateness / substantial portion of a meeting concept. While I was in there, I made some cleanup edits because there were some typos and other things that I had identified. So you may have seen some redlining throughout the document, but there was no substantive change to any other provision that didn't relate to lateness or to the language around substantial portion. Now, having said that, have folks had an opportunity to look through these edits for this month?
Yep. Well,
I see a hand from Steve and from Liz, so I'll take Steve, then Liz.
Well, I sent emails a couple of times. Thank you. I sent emails a couple of times. It wasn't clear to me, whether, I only saw changes on the two particular pages. I think it was pages 9 and 29. Were there any other changes as well
Yes,
on this latest question?
yes, there are changes on pages 7, 8, 9, 10, 29, 41, and 45.
Well, they weren't all highlighted. or
Yes, they
clear.
were.
No, they weren't. So,
So all the changes were in tracked edits,
well,
so they should have shown in a redlining format. Did that not appear for everybody?
That appeared for me.
Okay,
it could have been made much clearer as to where the changes were.
Um,
What I saw, by the way, I considered to be overly punitive. What appeared to me is that if I was 16 minutes late to a meeting,
yes,
that it would, and if I attended like a 3-hour meeting for 2 hours and 44 minutes, that somehow would still be counted as though I was absent.
No.
That 3 latenesses are the same as 3 absences in terms of what can be recorded against me. So I think that's just ridiculous. A lateness should not be the equivalent of an absence if I'm present for the bulk of a meeting. Just makes no sense at all to me.
Liz, go ahead.
I agree that treating a lateness essentially the same as an absence feels a little weird to me. I'm actually with Steve on this, but I am mindful that we were outvoted. Like, there was a survey taken, and while I agree with you, Steve, the majority does not. So the way majority rule works is the majority has spoken. If you don't like these changes, you're free to vote no. I would, however, suggest that while we may agree on what constitutes lateness, the weight of a lateness, the idea that it's 3 absences or 3 latenesses does feel odd to me.
Okay,
So I'm not exactly sure what the right math is. I don't want to get into like, is a lateness worth half an absence? I'm also mindful that what this says is that a person could be removed, not will be removed. So at the point that people are deciding those things, my guess is people would say, well, you're talking about a person who has been 16, 23, and 17 minutes late for meetings and otherwise has great attendance. I think we should send a strongly worded letter to please do your best to show up on time, not remove the person from the board.
Yeah.
So, there is that. The only substantive comments that I had are on page 45. You removed 14.33, but you didn't renumber 14.34 and 14.35. So I would suggest, and I don't actually care which of these things we do, but I feel strongly we should do one of them, is either renumber those two or leave 14.33 in and note delete it.
yeah,
Because it just looks weird to skip from 14.32 to 14.34.
so Wayne has pointed that one out too. Sometimes, and this is the case with this one, when the numbering is being done in track changes, you see it looks correct in simple markup, but not in the,
Oh,
so it is. but
so the
yes,
intent is that it will be
it will,
renumbered.
yes,
Fantastic. And then on page 29, where it's, and this was kind of ambiguous on the survey. We defined in the aggregate that you had to be at a general meeting for the public session and the roll call. And the interesting way of wording it the interesting thing about wording it that way is the public session happens very much towards the beginning and the roll call happens very much towards the end. So in theory, this does make room for people showing up for the public session, leaving, and then coming back for voting, which I don't really feel the need to warn against, because like, who does that? That feels like way too in the weeds. But I do think that there is the spirit of substantial attendance, so I would actually include, it's hard to read because my printer ink is running out. At least 80% of the total duration of any meeting of a standing committee, and attendance and participation for a majority of the general meeting, including the public session and the roll call portions.
Okay. How do folks feel about that? I'm not opposed to it. My thinking with isolating the public session and the roll call, or those are like, while all of the meeting is important, those are the two that are just important, right? We have to be there for the public. Public shows up, they have a right to comment before the board. And we have to be there to vote on matters that are being presented before the board. That's it.
Y'all think I'm overthinking it and I should back off. I'm also okay with that. That was just sort of what occurred to me as I was reading it.
Go ahead, the one.
Question, with this proposal, so then who's to say that I'm there for the public session, and then I go home and I log online for the roll call? Has been done, I've seen it,
Yeah,
with people that don't
We do
have
have one
an
person.
exception. So are we setting a dangerous precedent with this kind of?
yeah, but if you switch to Zoom, you still, at least in the current rules, require a reason to be on Zoom if you're not exempt. And so if you went home and you log with the board that you're not feeling well, that's an excusal, so you can be counted as present. If you go home and you say nothing to the board office or the secretary, then you don't count as being present during that portion.
I mean, it is just that one person. Who's done that.
Is this person still on the board?
Nope.
Okay. So what do we
It does
think?
open, it does open.
No, for sure. So
So, yeah,
are you in favor then of changing it to majority and then just saying including the public session and roll call portions of the agenda? How do people feel about that if we make that adjustment to section 10.5? 10.10.5, it would read instead, attending a majority of the general meeting, including public session and roll call portions of the agenda.
Well, the word used prior is substantial portion, so I'd be consistent.
Okay,
Well, no, because it says substantial portion of a meeting means, so you can't use substantial. You can't use the word you're defining in the definition.
so if it's majority, we should just write out at least 50% of the meeting. Since we were using, I think, what did we say in the former, for committees, it's 80?
Yeah,
Yeah, so we'll say.
well,
50.
what did the
Well-
survey say in terms of percentage? I thought it
It-
also
it-
said 80, or it didn't.
Not for the general
I see.
meeting. The general meeting, most people voted attending the
Mhm.
roll call and public sessions.
Can't we just put majority and leave it loose?
I think that was an option in the survey, but it wasn't the option that our majority.
Well, but we're including the roll call and
Yeah,
the,
okay, not really, not to get into the weeds of it, but just. So if someone does attend, let's say, the committee reports, the elected official reports, and that somehow equates to 51% of the meeting, but they're not present for either or one of
Mhm.
the roll call or public session, should they then be counted as absent for that meeting?
Yes,
Okay. Is including the right word there? I'm trying to think.
including but not limited to.
I just worry that including would leave it open-ended.
No,
Trying to think.
we're making
Sorry.
it very clear in contract terms, including both of those components. that's why you want to use and, not
How
or.
about at a minimum, well, majority of the meeting, which includes at a minimum, the public session and roll call.
I think a majority of the meeting, including the two required components. I mean, that is the fewest number of. That is the fewest number of. Words to convey that point, and in person, like we make that clear elsewhere, like you have to be in person unless you have an excuse.
For what it's worth, by the way, may I see this? Really
Yeah.
quick? I should have printed out my own. Article 13
Mhm.
of the bylaws will be null and void on July 1st, just by operation of law, so. We don't have to get into the weeds of in person right now. There's no statute that has been passed. We cannot have any of our members attending virtually. That was what was discussed, what I discussed 2 months ago. We passed a resolution in support.
It didn't pass.
Albany did not pass legislation to extend the open meetings law as of today. I mean, that could change. Usually when the budget is over, the legislators go back and try to do some work. But we have a board member who does a lot of work in Albany, Jay Baez, and at that time he conveyed to us, he doesn't think that that's gonna pass. So, in any case, Article 13 of the bylaws. Let's
Thank you.
ignore that for now. Yeah, no problem. Okay, so we're gonna, I think that that's a good change, so I'm gonna make that change unless there's any opposition. Okay, seeing none. Anything else regarding the bylaw?
I sent you,
Yes,
for everyone.
Yeah.
An email with nothing substantive, but some cleaning up on a couple of queries, so I would say look at those.
okay, thank you.
Those are things about the bylaw?
Yes.
And what do we do about? About this idea that at the moment, as written, lateness and absence has the same weight.
So does someone want to propose an amendment here to that?
6,
So 6 latenesses would allow for removal from the board,
yeah,
okay?
Well, then
a 6-month period.
oh,
So you'd have to be late to at least one meeting a month, but well, you guess you could do more than that, but.
You were late to every meeting.
5, I mean, there
For
are
6
some-
months.
Yeah,
how about 5, I mean, well. You're on 2 committees.
Yep.
And there's the general.
Yep.
So that's 3 meetings a month times 6 months is 18.
yeah,
So,
That's a point.
and
6 is
Third.
third.
so 6 is 1/3. That feels like a chronic problem. I mean, like, we're all busy and sometimes people are gonna be late.
okay, I'm in accordance with that. So we'll change 3 to 6 with respect to how latenesses are weighted. Any opposition to that?
It will result.
I'm voting no.
Okay, well, we haven't started on just the amendment or on all the bylaws. Right, we haven't done the vote yet for
All
that.
right, remind me what page is that so I can just note it.
It is page 9.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It will result in removal or.
It's not automatic.
Resulted.
And so
We
the
can
board
tell the
still
board not
makes it,
recommended for reappointment.
well, yeah, that's more informal than anything, but yes, it allows for. The chair to present to the board a motion to remove the member for lateness. Okay, any other edits to these bylaws or questions, comments at this point? Do I have a motion to adopt?
Motion.
Second.
Okay,
As modified.
as modified. I guess, do we do a roll call?
We do.
Okay, let's do a roll.
Is there anything else that we're voting on?
We're voting on the Red Guidelines Board. Resolution from Housing and Human Services. So should we wait to,
That was not passed by the committee?
No,
No, so-
let's just do a quick,
okay, we're gonna do a roll call on the bylaws and then I'll turn it to you, Indiana, for that.
Okay.
No, housing did not have quorum this month, so that was part of my reason for
Okay.
asking.
Well,
neither
did Asian.
Yeah, a lot of committees didn't,
Leo,
Did.
is Leo here?
no,
Is he absent?
yes.
Tanisha, on the bylaws.
So sure, yes.
I did, he's running.
Alexis is excused. I vote yes. Heidi,
Yeah.
Mary,
Yes.
Radia.
Yes.
Steve,
No.
Indiana,
Yes.
is Isidro here?
No.
Is he absent?
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
Luana,
Yes.
Jim's not here, Anthony,
Yes.
okay. 1, 2, 3, oops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It passes 9-1.
Okay, thank you. I will now turn it to Indiana.
Thank
If
you,
you'd like-
Anthony. I
present-
do have a question about the bylaws, or not about our bylaws, but about the New York rule that you're talking about. Is there anything that we can do, maybe even if it's in my personal capacity, like, I can't believe that they're not going to count remote participation at
I
the
know.
state level. Like,
I mean, the statute just doesn't allow for it without those extra provisions. Right now, if it turns out that someone sues, which is very possible, and the courts feel that the statute as it was without those provisions would enable public bodies like a community board to still have provisions in their bylaws that allow for hybrid participation and members to be counted as present, then that's great for us. We already have those provisions and we can proceed as is. But as it stands, our legislature has not
yeah,
taken action, and so that part of the law does just fade away.
but do we know if there are any groups that are advocating for that, or?
Well, there were some, I mean, we had passed a resolution in
Yeah.
support of pending legislation. That resolution also called on our council members to pass a resolution in the city council to support state legislation. As far as I could tell, because of the budget negotiations, since we passed that resolution, legislators have been very focused on that and have not done, practically speaking, anything else. And so, but even then, the legislation that was introduced at the top of the term didn't even leave committee. Like, it didn't go before a full body vote in either chamber, either the assembly or the senate. So and I think that's part of the reason Jay's like, there's a very slim chance this thing's getting passed.
Okay,
But yeah, I mean, we can't operate outside the law. And honestly, there are community boards that have been and have been getting a lot of negative press. There's a Queens community board that hasn't met in person since COVID at all.
Are you
Obviously,
kidding?
we're not doing that, but a lot of negative press around that one Queens community board that just shrugged its shoulders and said, no, we can meet virtually, no problem. That could also open them to a lawsuit, and I don't want that here. So I think one thing I
Okay.
could also do is ask for an interpretation from the borough president if we're allowed to have something after the law is changed, but I think that's the most of our abilities at this point.
all right, well, I appreciate it. If there's anything I can do, please let me know, because I really, really.
I know.
like-
Yeah.
You might wanna talk to Daryl,
Oh, Daryl Cochran.
our colleague Daryl Cochran, who works for the New York City Commission on Human Rights. I mean, it's a 504 issue.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, I don't need to tell you.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Okay, thank you. I'm pulling up the resolution right now. Anthony, I sent you the updated draft.
Okay.
It's why I'm actually still home. I didn't have time to commute
Wait,
over
yeah.
there and do the edit, but it's
No,
draft V7.
And I have a question about new business. I mean, about old business.
Oh, I'm
Oh.
sorry, Indiana, before you proceed,
Yeah,
yes.
no worries.
Rather, Luana has a question about old business. I don't, yeah, you do. You just asked me a question, and that's old business, the formatting.
Do you want to take the mic
But this is about the formatting of this?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
in general?
That, Well, I was gonna bring it up during the resolution, during Indiana's presentation, that's all.
Right, but it's not particular to that reso, it relates to all resos. The
Fantastic. No, I just have a question because I keep seeing this, it's recurring where public guests are listed.
Yes,
And my understanding is that public guests do not vote.
it's up to each committee. So the chairs of each committee, as I understand it, they have the choice of who votes within their committee. Now, look, it doesn't vote towards the purpose of passing the resolution. It's kind of nominal in nature. In other words, if a committee votes 3-7 and the public votes 27-6, the thing didn't pass. Because it's the committee's vote that counts. But if you want to demonstrate that there's public support and want to take that vote, you can document that for your committee.
I see, I wasn't clear on that,
Got it.
I have not done that. And I don't think I have an intention of doing that.
And you don't have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, sorry.
I also wanna be consistent with, I don't wanna be, I think as a board, it would serve purposefully to agree. Because then I don't wanna be the big bad wolf,
Mm.
of
That's a good
like
point.
being the only person not to do this, but being part of the board is having the privilege to vote,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah. You have a comment?
My understanding from my time on the board is at the committee level, members of the public guests, they can participate in the discussion, whereas they can't do that in the general meeting. And they can vote if they wish to. And whenever in land use, whenever there's a matter up to vote, we indicate the folks who are there. If you would like to, you can vote and, we first do the committee members, we do other board members. And then if there are guests who would like to vote, we take that vote.
But I do think it is fair to say that it is a committee, at least currently, and we can have a discussion in like
Yeah,
the
I
next
think we
executive
should.
committee. Because licensing is another committee that doesn't take a vote
Okay.
from the public at all. So let's have that conversation and
Yeah.
I'll put it on the agenda for next
Yeah.
month.
Is that a problem?
I understand the discussion, yes, I do allow that, discussion, questions, sorry, Mary. I think I just wanna make it clear,
Some people like.
yeah, cause I'm so loud. Yes, I just wanna make it clear that yes, discussion, yes, questions, yes, participation. Where I draw the line is asking for a vote.
Okay,
I think that sets a very dangerous precedent in terms of,
Yeah.
anyway. That's what I think, thank you.
Makes sense.
I know Jim isn't here. I think Jim would have been great to weigh in on this, because I don't think the bylaws specify if a voting by the public, so it sounds like it is a decision that somehow probably falls on Robert's rules in
Yeah.
some degree. So we could take that away, but I'll still add it to the agenda next month.
yeah.
And I think we have that discussion, see where we.
And I just wanna make sure that it's not a commentary, Indiana, this is not about your resolution, I just saw it, I've seen it in other resolutions, just making
Yeah.
it
What
clear.
did you
It's
see?
part of
Because
the
we
package.
didn't vote on it at all.
It's just
No,
the format.
It's
Yeah,
the
it's the
format.
table at the back of the resolution.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just got that from the template.
It's the template.
Right,
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
yeah. Okay, great. Indiana, we'll now turn to new business and to your resolution.
Great, thank you. Is that gonna be up on the screen or?
I can pull it up. You said you emailed it to me?
Yes,
Right, let me.
it's draft V7, thank you. I can go ahead and start chatting about it though.
Please, go for it.
It's very similar to some of the resolutions that we've passed in the past. It starts out with the title, Resolution Calling on the New York City Rent Guidelines Board to adopt a rent freeze or reduction for rent regulated apartments for 1 or 2 year leases commencing October 1st, 2026 and on or before September 30th, 2027. We note that at the public hearing that was held on May 7th, the Rent Guidelines Board made a recommendation for increases, a range of potential increases to rent regulated apartments. For 1 year leases, that would be from a range of no increase, so 0% to 2% increase. And for 2-year leases, the range is from 0 to 4% increase. We note that New Yorkers already find themselves struggling to cover the cost of groceries and utilities, transportation, and healthcare. In fact, not just to cover the cost, but to cover the growing cost. We note that the potential for rent increases comes at a time when there's already rising housing insecurity, a high number of evictions and displacement. We note that increases disproportionately harm working class New Yorkers, seniors on fixed income, immigrant rich neighborhoods, and communities of color. And again, note the rising cost of living and that wages have stagnated. We also point to a study from the New York City Economic Development Corporation, published in April 2026, that notes that the city's unemployment rate is 5.7, or at least that's what it was in January 2026, which is up from 4.9 in January of 2025. So, a notable jump in unemployment. We also point on page 2 to the New York City Rent Guideline Board's 2026 Income and Affordability Study, and several statistics there that just point that while real wages have grown some in the prior year, the growth is still outpaced by the rate of inflation. And we point to statistics cited in the report from the Consumer Price Index, which is a primary measure of inflation, noting that it grew by 3.4% in the New York City metropolitan area last year in 2025. We also note the rising electricity cost, approximately 1.8% increase in 2025, and that's on top of increases of 3.4% in 2024. 12.3% rent electricity increases in 2024. And just other statistics, including the population served by Department of Homeless Services last year, which was over 85,000 New Yorkers. We also note increases in the number of evictions in 2025. There was a total of a little over 15,000 evictions, which equaled a 9.7% increase. We note also some other studies like the American Community Survey, which found that 51.6% of tenants, excluding those receiving rental assistance or living in public housing, were considered rent burdened. I don't know how deep, how many of these statistics you want me to go through, but we also noted a study by a group out of Columbia University that has partnered with the Robin Hood Foundation to publish an annual report. And in the most recent report published in March 2026, they noted something called the supplemental poverty rate, which in addition to just like the traditional poverty rate considerations, it also includes something called material hardships, which takes into consideration chronic and acute inability to meet costs. So it's like a little bit more expansive of a review, as well as factors that relate to physical and mental health. And so under that consideration, that threshold, they found that the supplemental poverty rate in New York City is now 26%, or at least was 26% in 2024, which was their most recent data. And that's up from 24% in 2023. And they found that under that, measure, nearly 2.2 million New Yorkers are living in poverty. I'm sorry?
That's a quarter of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's horrifying.
Yeah.
What are we doing wrong? Don't answer that.
Yeah. What aren't we doing wrong? And then just to wrap up, thank you, Wayne and Steve, for your edits. I've incorporated all of them except for 2, but we wrap up by saying, we understand that there's a legal mandate for the Rent Guidelines Board to establish rent adjustments for dwelling units subject to rent stabilization law. However, there's a moral responsibility to give serious consideration to the impact of such adjustments on tenants and on the financial health and stability of households and communities citywide. So we then therefore be it resolved, with increasing unaffordable rents and inflation outpacing income growth, among other challenges facing New Yorkers, including large funding cuts by the current federal administration, I need to add cuts. Community Board 12 Manhattan strongly urges the New York City Rent Guidelines Board to, at the very least, adopt a rent freeze and seriously consider a rent reduction, recognizing the overwhelming financial hardship faced by rent stabilized tenants as follows. For a 1-year renewal lease commencing on or after October 1st, 2026, and on or before September 30th, 2027, a 3% reduction, and for a 2-year lease commencing on or after October 1st, 2026, and on or before September 30th, 2027, a 4.5% reduction. I need to double check that 3%. I think it needs to be changed to 2%. So I will do that now in that, for a 1-year renewal lease commencing
reduction
on or
of 2.
before. Yeah, a 2% reduction instead of 3.
Okay.
Apologies for that. And then we have our blank chart because we were not able to take a vote. And then the one edit that I did not accept was when we had the relevant organizations, there was Met Council and Tenants and Neighbors noted as a citywide organization added. And the reason I didn't include them was I wanted to discuss why those specific organizations. And I was inclined to not include specific organizations because I don't know why we would just pick 2 out of the countless organizations that have chimed in on this.
You have hands, but did someone have an answer? Who made that edit? Can you provide a response to that question?
Well, those are the two
Sorry, thank you.
those are the two leading citywide tenant organizations that have always
Really doesn't matter.
that have always been in the lead on these various issues. And it's to our advantage, it seems to me, to let them know that we've taken a position or presumably consistent with theirs. In fact, one of my questions would be whether or not the 2% and 4.5% reductions are numbers that we came up with on our own, or whether those are the same numbers that the citywide tenants groups are also reporting.
That is a good question. I can ask Stefan, who took the lead on making this edit. And that may be actually why we had 3% reduction instead of 2. It may come from an external source. I'm happy to follow up with him and see where he got that. I don't know if we can vote this out tentatively, subject to that, but otherwise, I'm not sure.
I would want to align with what other tenants groups are doing. So if 3% is the case, then unless folks disagree. Can you pass the mic? And then Liz, go ahead.
If there are other citywide or local tenant groups that people know of, then they should be added. And this should be circulated, widely, including possibly by press release.
Yes.
So I would actually encourage the inclusion of as many relevant organizations as makes sense. But the one comment that I had is typically when we refer to ourselves, it is Community Board 12, Manhattan. There is no hyphen.
Yes.
That I've actually changed that. So because the bylaws are contain the hyphen, and so does our tax exempt document. So those
The version
2.
that I have has a comma.
Okay.
Yeah, I changed it though in this version.
I'll shut up then.
So on the point of the tenants groups, I'm trying to think through, because when we create the letter generally limit the addressees to folks who have some decision-making authority. And so we usually don't include like nonprofit groups in the CC section of the letter. We can always send it to them. I don't have an issue with that. In fact,
Right.
it'll be published on our website anyway, and I agree we need to do a press release, but I don't
That
think
was
they
my
should be.
understanding as well.
Yeah, but we should have a list of individual, like if we wanted to send them directly to any group, we
good
can
with
do
that.
that. Okay, any other comments on the resolution?
So
Well,
can we put since we are asking for a rent reduction, I now see why we had 3% instead of 2% on that.
So
Next
it's
to
supposed
last
to be
bullet.
3?
Because it's a reduction, right? If we. Apologies, but I will try and find the source.
Well, wait
Yeah,
a second,
comment.
but so usually when we copy things, when we see the CC list is like electeds and agencies.
Yes,
Can you scroll up?
yeah.
Are we, oh, okay, so the rent guidelines board is on there. That was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we didn't
Cool.
copy that, it wouldn't make sense.
Well, isn't that who it's going
It
to?
will be an address.
So I
yeah.
think that we shouldn't be copying them.
No.
We should be sending it to them.
When this gets converted into a.
It's a
letter,
relevant organization.
Yeah,
Okay,
for the resolution, yeah.
borough president
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You should go to all the elected.
and also the state officials
Yeah.
because it's a state regulation.
So for what it's worth, we always include all those groups on the letters, like, so that, yes.
Okay.
All of our electeds will be listed on the copy field of the letter itself. Okay, anything else? Questions, comments? Do I have a motion to pass?
I move, well, actually, it's her presentation is the motion. I second.
Okay, Indiana moved, right, Indiana?
Yes.
Great.
I can't vote on this because we added city council.
I don't know, then you shouldn't move.
Yeah.
Can someone else?
So then Liz moved.
All right, who's second? Thanks, Heidi. You had a
Bet.
question, Steve?
Yeah, where did we end up on those reductions on the percentage?
It's 3%, but we're gonna confirm that that came from a source, likely a tenants advocacy group.
Yeah, let's.
If it's
yeah.
coming from a source, we should cite it.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, that's a good point.
So can we stipulate that our approval of this, our voting on this
Subject to tweaking.
is subject to that tweak?
We could
Yeah.
say like instead of concluding as follows, we can say as recommended by XYZ organization.
Agreed.
Great.
And I'm sorry, where we made reference to the city council?
In the CC.
Well, then, so what? That doesn't preclude it.
What are you saying?
Works for the city.
So what? You're sending out a copy.
Yeah, but you're
There's-
just copying them. You're not
So what?
asking them to do it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
There's
That's-
no action required here by the city council. We're not asking them to do a damn thing, anything. So,
You can't communicate with a city agency that you work for on behalf of something else. So,
I think the rule is Indiana is best suited to determine whether she thinks it's a conflict or not, and if she thinks it is, she should recuse herself.
Yeah, I don't think it's up to us to tell Indiana what she
Yeah,
feels.
no, I don't want that
okay,
liability.
that's fine.
Okay,
you.
so let's roll call.
Okay, Leo is still absent. Tanisha?
yes.
Wait, hold on. I just got a RGB. I vote yes. Heidi?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Radia?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes,
Indiana?
Abstain because I
you're-
work for city council or
Not-
no, I'm
not-
conflicted
You're
out.
not
Sorry.
voting?
Yeah, I'm not voting because I have a
Wayne?
Yes.
Luana?
Yes.
Anthony?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's unanimous, 9-0-0 with one not voting.
Great.
I had
Um,
one general question about resolutions.
Yeah.
I actually would love to hyperlink some of these studies and statistics and things like that, but I didn't know what our policy was. I imagine we don't do that, but I would love for us to consider that because now that everything is posted online, we could point people to the research studies or the advocacy groups, whoever it is that we're citing in our resos.
Here was, if we do that, here's what I would ask. It should be in a footnote and in the
Okay.
style where it's like available at and it shows the whole URL and then you can hyperlink that. The only reason I say that is if someone for accessibility reasons has a paper copy in front of them,
Mhm.
they have the actual URL and it's not just underlined text.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm not opposed to it.
Maybe like as endnotes, that way it doesn't make all of our resolutions 57 pages.
No, that's fair. Yes,
Okay.
agreed. Yana?
Well, the number for the rollback is -3% to 0% for 1 year leases
Yeah,
and -4.5% to 0% for 2 year leases.
Okay.
and whose recommendation was that?
That was, the tenant representative at the Rhine guideline.
Got it, okay.
Okay, did you hear that, Indiana?
Yes, but which tenant representative?
The- yeah.
Sorry, not Adam.
Like the person elected to the board or placed on the board?
Yeah,
Adam, sorry, Adam Soltrin.
Okay,
there were,
Legal Aid Society.
yeah, there were two officially designated tenant representatives sitting on the
yes,
board.
I see.
So that's one of them, right? He's one of them.
Okay, got it. I will make those edits and can send it to Anthony shortly.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank
All right,
you.
we'll go now through our committee reports. And I'll turn it first to Mary, Concerns of the Aging. Any announcements?
Just about the senior wellness and healthcare, which we will be co-sponsoring. The aging committee will be co-sponsoring in June. Hopefully June 12th. I just wanted to make note that unfortunately our committee was not exactly a committee for our May meeting. There were two of us. There were two excused who let me know that they were not able to be at the meeting. One was because of his work, he had a emergency a problem at work, and also Eitan had a final exam that day, so.
I told you a month ago that I was not going to be at the meeting because I was working out of town.
But telling me and having an email are two different things.
Okay.
And then the office didn't have that information either, so. But we can change, we can change that.
Yeah,
To excuse, but
yeah.
Any other announcements out of aging?
that's a.
Okay, I'm just gonna go around. Wayne, land use?
So at land use, we provided an update on the public hearing that BSA held on the 27th, that it was noted that one of the BSA commissioners said she thought the site for the Zeta Charter School was ideal, her words. And another commissioner, echoed that position. They did not make a decision. They asked for clarification on a number of points of information in the application. I stressed at the land use committee meeting that although we have heard that there are community stakeholders who oppose locating a school in that location, none of them have taken the proactive step of providing those comments to BSA, which they can do online via the portal. And we actually had a number of students from the George Washington School campus who attended to say that, they had concerns with that, and I encouraged them to either individually or collectively provide those comments in writing. They happened to be stuck in the elevator with Tanisha, so I guess they got to meet her. Tanisha attended the land use committee meeting for a period, and I, suggested that they sort of coordinate youth education and others, but I would stress that hearing that people have concerns with the location, but seeing that no one has taken the step of letting the entity that has responsibility for making the decision know is problematic.
Yep.
We also discuss the planning study that CB12 completed circa 2008 and how we might update that and how we might allocate some of the surplus funds that we seem to have every year to that initiative. The land use committee was charged with looking at the executive study and seeing what areas we might focus on more specifically for a new study. And we will have Sean Rickenbacker from the Bond Center for Urban Futures from City College join us at the June meeting to discuss that, but also they are working with CBs 9 and 10 on a digital planning platform, and we've discussed this in the past. And the platform is customized to what the community board wants to study in particular. So, the areas of focus for CB9 are not, cut and paste for CB10. So that's one of the things, what is it that, CB12 wants to look at, and Indiana was present. So that's one of the things we're going to drill down on in June.
And that's who?
Sean Rickenbacker is a professor at the City College School of Architecture, and he's also the head, I don't recall his proper title, for the JMAX Bond Center for Urban Futures, which used to be the City College Architecture Lab, which is the entity that worked with us on the planning study in the past.
Okay, and is
I can
Sean,
send you his title and all that stuff.
that would be great. And who was it who said that that's an ideal location for the Zeta?
One of the BSA commissioners. And the other one basically was her Amen crew.
Wow.
And in June, we'll also have a presentation from the Hispanic Society, a further update on where they are in their master plan. As you know, it's a multi-year master plan because it's multi-million dollars worth of work. There's nothing accessible in that 103-year-old campus, but they're slowly working on implementing a number of capital projects. So they're going to give us an update in June.
Great.
Tanisha?
I see a question.
Oh, you have a question?
Yeah, Wayne, were you able to find in the EIS for the Zeta Charter School, the data about accidents?
The
that
crash
occurred?
data?
Yeah.
I did not look for it. However, that is one of the things that the BSA asked for clarification on.
Yeah.
But they did state during the meeting, or I think the attorney stated that that information is in the EAS.
Do we still have access to the EAS?
I downloaded it, so
It didn't expire?
no, I downloaded it to my computer, so I have all 800 or whatever pages of it.
All right, so if I can't find it, I'll contact you.
Yeah, I'll have to try to get it to you somehow. Maybe I'll
Yeah.
burn it to a disk and you can pick it
There you
up.
go, floppy disk.
Well, he lives across the street, so I can
Right.
pick it up.
Right.
Nigger mail.
Tanisha, youth and education.
Yeah, so youth and education had a robust meeting as usual. I'm liking that the students are showing up and they're coming to every meeting. I love them, they love me. We did pass a resolution in opposition of Theta. And we also, the students did write a petition against the Zeta expansion that is being circulated right now for signatures. Hope you all signed it and shared it, and working on getting it uploaded to the BSA portal because it's looking at me. And in June, we're hoping to have SCA and the superintendent visit us. We want to know about SCA's plans to build more schools in our community. We would love standalone schools, like schools for children with autism exclusively, children who learn differently in other areas, schools for them exclusively that will cater to their needs, where they're not all grouped up in a D75 setting, where they don't get the support that they each need for how they learn differently. Because, I don't like how we call our children special needs. And yeah, that's about it.
I have a question. There's some kind of community uproar around a physical expansion of PSIS 187.
How? I'm sorry.
PSIS 180.
PSIS 187, SCA has a plan for physically expanding it. Can you?
My first time hearing about
The
it.
constructed addition.
Yeah, they're constructing some kind of addition.
No, what you said, PS?
PSIS 187, it's the K through 8 school on 187th and on Cabrini, just north of 187th Street. And there are a bunch of people with who seem to be upset by that, and I'm just curious.
They don't want them to expand? Oh.
Yeah, I'm perplexed as to what the issue is,
Me too.
given that people have been complaining about overcrowding, so I
Yeah.
was just wondering if you. had
No,
any-
but I will
I
investigate.
just don't know if this is like people getting their knickers in a twist over who knows what, or if there's like some kind of issue there.
Yeah.
I
So,
figured you got your ear to the ground, man, so.
yeah, but you know, I'm very busy, but
That's
but
true.
thank you for putting it on my radar so that when we see, when SCA comes to present, we will specifically ask them about that.
Mary, you have some thoughts?
One thing I
I'm not
forgot
getting into
was
that.
that the aging committee has been beginning to attend the other committees. Sending a representative to present what we've been discussing about ageism and how it affects every other committee that there is. That's been going well. So, I'll be letting other people, other chairs know who will be attending their meeting in June. Thank you.
Thank you. And then just before we move on from you, could we ask whoever's leading the petition efforts of the students?
I was texting them while we was here, Chair.
Could we close it by like June 1st to give us enough time to
Yeah.
upload it into because I think we want to upload it completed and fully signed. Cause I don't know if we could just upload a link and they'd have to keep checking to see how many
Mhm.
No,
signatures.
you'd probably want to upload the document. I would say that the New York City Department of Transportation was supposed to provide its written comments by actually the end of last week. And so the applicant will be responding to BSA's, all of the questions they raise, in addition to any questions that DOT raise, sort of now through the, probably the end of the month, which is why I stressed to folks at the latest committee that they need to be expeditious in their actions.
Okay, so soon. Let's see if we can close it like this week.
I mean, like, necessarily uploading it don't mean that we can't keep collecting signatures.
Well, I mean,
So,
anyone can submit an individual letter. They don't necessarily have to sign on to a particular petition. As I pointed out, the applicant had 341, although I think Kiana mentioned it might have increased to 370 individual letters, typically from parents of students in support of that. So it doesn't have to be, a single petition. It's just like if anyone who is concerned, I don't want to hear in land use from a committee member that, oh, everyone in the community is against it, and no one in the community has like put 2 lines or even sent an email to BSA
Right.
or to the office, which the office can then forward to BSA to express their concerns.
Right, yep. Okay, you have a question, Steve?
Or, 2 things. The first is that, this woman who appears to be,
This is regarding youth?
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
but, 2 things. The woman who appears to be leading the opposition to, the proposed addition for PSIS 187, posted on Facebook that, that the SCA DOE was to present an update about this, proposed addition at the CSE meeting, last week on June the 11th. Oh, hold it, last week. On June, this coming June 11th.
coming.
Um. So something apparently is in the works. And number 2, the resolution that we already passed about the Zeta Charter School was in opposition to the school, right?
It was in opposition to the special permit that BSA would grant.
All right, so we're now gonna do another resolution.
No, we are not. We are not.
No, no, it's coming from Youth and Education.
It's
Another
not coming from
resolution.
youth and education.
What?
Coming from the people, Steve.
The petition from the people.
Oh, it's not a resolution.
No.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Okay, Parks, Luana?
Parks. Hello, everybody. I'll be brief. Mary will be coming to our June meeting. So we're very excited about that. Also, there continues to be conversations about Wright Brothers Playground. We're keeping close watch on that. now that it's been announced that Dolphin Park ribbon cutting ceremony will be postponed till further notice. That's an announcement. I was going to announce that the ribbon cutting will be happening, but now it's not, although the park is open. And also, Tanisha, every time I get programming announcements in my committee, I make sure that they also come to your committee because a lot of programming is for our youth. So I make an emphasis to go to the Youth and Education Committee as well to make those announcements. And also we had a presentation for an upcoming event for the, let me see if I have this right. The Triangle by, is it 181st Street, Steve? I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to lean on my parks colleague, buddy.
Lafayette,
Yes, that's
Lafayette.
it, yes.
Plaza Lafayette.
Plaza Lafayette, there's going to be an event, I believe it will be in August, commemorating the design of that triangle.
No, that's the Paterno Trivium.
Trivium, I knew it, that's why I said
At the-
triangle.
It's the Trivium at the confluence
Trivium,
of
yes.
187 Pinehurst and Cabrini.
Yes, and we had a presentation from, I think his name is
Tom
Nevin.
Navin.
Navin.
N-A-V-I-N.
Thank
yeah.
you. So that is forthcoming. Thank you. Questions?
Is there anything special happening in the community in the month of June in terms of cultural affairs?
There are many, many special things happening.
But is there
Oh,
one particular thing?
The launch of the Uptown, Uptown Art Stroll, partners with NOMA, and that's going to happen, Hispanic Society on June 1st.
And there will be an exhibit of historic Washington Heights in the community room at 800 Riverside Drive, put together by Wayne Benjamin and Steve.
Thank
Simon
you,
and Vivian
Wayne.
Scott and
Thank
Agnes
you.
Beatty.
I don't have my notes in front of me,
You don't have it
so
yet, but I will send it to you.
thank you. And
With 4 lectures.
As part of NOMA's art stroll, there will be an exhibition open with the opening event on June 6th at the NOMA Art Gallery, featuring photography, works of art around the theme of America the Beautiful, like with a question mark. America the Beautiful question mark as part of the title. And one of the pieces shown is a photo by whom?
so I don't want to play favorites. Moving forward, if you have an announcement, you can do that yourself. Do not ask me because that is asking me to pull from memory all of the wonderful programming that is happening in our community. So for future reference, refer the video to the live stream and refer to the minutes for programming. Thank you.
Thank you. Heidi from Public Safety.
So we had a pretty robust meeting this past month. We had our typical reports from the 33rd and 34th precinct. The 33rd precinct has 27 new officers that they're going to be deploying at various foot posts. To try to address.
Everywhere, but
The 33rd.
need to be.
Will be addressing some drug activity on Audubon and on Amsterdam Avenues. The 34th precinct also we had a brief presentation from the youth coordination officers from the 34th precinct, and the 33rd precinct promised that their youth officers would be at the June meeting. Because some of the members of our committee have been interested in hearing more about what the NYPD's youth programming and offerings are. So we look forward to collaborating with them as well. We did not have the FDNY present, which was pretty unfortunate given the fire that happened, but I was able to provide some updates from what Kiana provided in her district manager report today. I was able to give that update at the meeting instead of the FDNY. After the precinct and district attorney's reports, we had a discussion about the resolution that I guess was passed in traffic and transportation and in health and environment about noise in public plazas. I guess disclaimer, I work at DOT in the Reso when it was before the committee called upon DOT to do things that may have changed, I'm not sure. But the committee was pretty heavily in opposition to the resolution about noise in public plazas, and so it actually did not come to a vote because nobody moved to vote on it. When I asked for a motion, someone said move to adjourn the meeting. Oh, in any event, there was some areas of the resolution that we had consensus about, namely around permitting and signage around posting events that are happening in advance, and noise mitigation and things like that. We tabled the discussion about the outboard and safety for June, and I will email Mary tomorrow about having someone from aging come to the committee meeting in June to talk about ageism and public safety. And with that, I will turn it over for any questions.
Was the discussion around the Office of Community Safety table just because the meeting went on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but, so I'm hoping to discuss it next month. So I went to the 34th Precinct Community Council meeting, which was the night after public safety, and something that came up in that meeting was the NYPD's continued resource constraints about, basically not having fully staffed, like, police officers. I'm not saying this right. Basically, the traditional head counts at the precincts are not fully filled because there's just issues with attrition and vacancies in the PD. So there was some discussion about whether a resolution could be passed calling for more officers to be deployed to the precincts. So I might bring that to the committee, but I think that might be better for the fall. Oh, and one last thing that I think some folks have raised is that the 34th precinct is shutting down the entrances to Fort Tryon Park on the weekends at nights to avoid like drag racing and like these really souped up cars with the big speakers from playing music and drag racing in Fort Tryon Park at night on the weekends.
Mhm.
Good to know. Thank you. All right, Steve, Health and Environment.
Yes, as Heidi referred to, we took up, at your request, the previous resolution, dealing with regulating noise in public plazas. It was, we began with a slightly modified resolution, from the one that we had last year. And then after receiving Heidi's, email about the resistance in the Public Safety Committee, we removed all references to NYPD from the resolution. We're not calling upon NYPD directly to do any enforcement. We understood that to be an issue and retained all of the other items that Heidi referred to, in which she said her committee was, for which she said her committee was favorably disposed. So at this point, we do have a resolution basically supported by two committees. Although Leo has now subsequently indicated some reservations about a couple of other provisions, which were not previously vocalized at either one of our committee meetings. But my inclination is to go ahead with the current language, because I'm still getting emails as recently as over the weekend from people talking about this issue. People who live in that immediate community around Dyckman Street, talking about late night noise and back-to-back events on weekends, so they can't enjoy either Saturday or Sunday. Events going on till 10 o'clock at night, if not later. I would like to talk to you, Anthony, about how we're doing some outreach to the people who manage the essentially that site, if not to all of the 6 public plazas, that we should have some kind of a sense of what their plans are for the coming summer before we do our resolution at the full board, if possible. But let's get a handle on that, and let's see whether or not in a perfect world we can possibly come up with something that everyone could agree on. Maybe the resolution we have right now is not in conflict with some of the plans that the plaza managers have. Maybe it's something they can all live with. So maybe it's really not something that we need to argue about. That's, but maybe I'm being a little Pollyannish about it, but that's somehow my dream, that maybe they're not planning any back-to-back events. Maybe they're not planning any events that run on past 8 o'clock on weekdays, 9 o'clock on weekends. Maybe we have something that people can live with. So I'd like to talk to you about that.
But sorry, just a point of clarification, when you say before the full board, is you're thinking if we're not able to have that discussion before next Tuesday, that we should table the resolution to June?
No, I'd like to think about that, but that's a
Okay.
possibility.
Okay,
But, you know,
we'll try.
we should try to get this information
Yeah.
if we can.
Liz, you had a question?
Yeah. More like a statement, as I think the only person here right now who lives like basically on Dyken Street. We have a lot of noise issues, virtually none of which stem from the actual businesses on Dyckman Street and the plaza. And while I'm sympathetic to the noise issue when there are events on Saturday and on Sunday, the biggest issues for noise have more to do with like nut jobs in their little sling mobiles driving around at stupid o'clock, blasting music well after these establishments are closed. Or people who were doing wheelies in the
Right.
middle of Riverside Drive at Henshaw Street or at Sherman or at Seaman, or people on Dyckman Street and Staff, or at the terminus near the Hudson. None of which have anything to do with the Dyckman Strip itself or the plaza. So, I mean, I don't want to dismiss people's noise issues, those are real. But there are so many other noise issues, and I just want to be careful about not equating noise in general and saying, well, it's just this one thing, because it's not.
Well,
That wasn't actually a question, it was a
I
statement.
understand that, but.
I'm not unsupportive of your reso.
Yeah.
This is a yes and,
Okay,
which wasn't looking.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that, because if you're correct, then the resolution doesn't really conflict with anything that the managers are currently doing. And so they would have no particular reason to be opposed to it, or if it's not gonna stop them from doing anything they're already doing.
Right.
But however, what I want to add to that is that the emails and input that I'm getting are directed towards events that are going on at the plaza. And when we held our public hearing a year ago, people were reacting to what was going on at the plaza, including as I mentioned before, the back-to-back events and events that were going on later at night. And even on Facebook, you know, people are posting about stuff that happens in the plaza after 10 o'clock at night. And I got an email from a woman over the weekend complaining about something happening past 10 o'clock. So you know,
You have
some people have a different sense of things.
you have Wayne and then Indiana.
Okay.
Can I have the mic, please? Wayne?
Just a couple things. I think it is important, as Liz pointed out, to distinguish between what is happening in and what's being generated by activities in any of these plazas and what's, you know, being generated by, you know, other factors. But I would also say that to me, it's problematic if a year ago, when we had a public hearing and we discussed this, you know, some of the points that are being raised now were raised then. And, you know, if there are enforcement issues that need attention when people are popping wheelies or people are, you know, doing other things, what have we at the committee level done? Or what have we, you know, at the board staff office done to coordinate with those agencies having jurisdiction to address it? It shouldn't be only when a resolution comes up to talk about the plazas that people say, well, there are all of these other issues,
Yeah.
and it's not the plaza. And there's a big brouhaha about that, and they don't want the resolution to pass, but then there's no attention given to all of these other factors that people are saying are the real causes of the noise. So I think that needs to be a priority. If we've identified and continue to identify other sources of disturbances, to our fellow community members, what are we doing to address it? And what are we charging NYPD or whomever with doing to address it?
So thank you for raising that. Last month it came up at the borough board meeting and it sounded like it's gonna be a topic of discussion for this month, this Thursday. Drag racing across Manhattan and the noise pollution that results from that. The agenda has not yet come out, so I can't confirm yet if the borough president has added it to the agenda. But I will raise it again if it's not on there because it was supposed to be on there as of last month. So that's one thing. Agreed, though, that there's more we can do on the community level, not just the borough level.
I can
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Heidi, and then I'll turn to you, Indiana.
The precinct has been showing us.
So, yeah, what I will say is that, the issue of noise generated from like unsanctioned events, people, etc., is a constant issue within, or thing that is raised usually by the PD itself as one of the things that they are addressing. One thing that they have advised is, you know, to the extent possible, when observed, to call it in through 911 or through 111, provide a description if possible. So for example, if it's someone on a moped, to provide a description if there's a license plate dubious, but you know, to provide information so that they can go and address it. This is also something that came up in the precinct community council meeting. So, you know, I think that to your point, Wayne, we can definitely continue to raise it practically because, for example, the closure of the park on the weekends is partly out of complaints that were made by the community, which helped them allocate the resources. So definitely, I think we can encourage people to make complaints when they see it.
Thanks, Heidi. Indiana?
Related to this topic, something that at least I have not been in any conversations about is the impact of the World Cup and just like folks, you know, being out, having fun, maybe staying out late. I don't know if there are going to be community events, like anything happening in parks, but it might be a good idea. What brought up was like the noise consideration, just to get an update of like, what is the plan for World Cup events? I don't know if we're having like viewing events anywhere in the district, but I'd love to know like what's NYPD's response? Is there are there going to be any like traffic changes or anything like that? And it starts, I just looked it up, June 11th.
Yeah, but I don't think they're in New York until, I could be wrong about this, but till, like,
Sure, but
Right,
I
but-
imagine
No, I
like
see what
our
you're saying.
community is gonna be like watching it. I imagine there's gonna be more drinking and more people out and about when there's
Yeah.
game days, even if it's
so-
not here.
Who's not gonna?
Yeah,
That's
so-
gonna affect.
Kiana and I met for an hour on Friday to talk about this. We were talking about it more from the perspective you were raising a bit more around like what community events and coordination will be done amongst the establishments. But we have to think about the public safety element of it too. And I'll take that back and I'll put it on our agenda for this Friday.
And if you're getting any permits to do block parties or things like that, Stapo is on one because of what's happening this year.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's why we started so early, because it's going to be very
Mhm.
hard to get permits, even though we all the way up here minding our business, and this is not gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's affecting everything, even like New York, New Jersey Transit, like they're gonna raise their price. It's crazy.
I mean, and we are a direct channel with the bridge, right? So, okay.
Can we end Vuvuzelas north of 155th Street?
I don't get that reference.
Yeah, the
Vuvuzela,
Vuvuzela.
that's
Oh.
a big sock,
Oh, is it?
big horn.
It's like a foghorn.
Sure.
Yeah.
Steve, did you have any more to your report? Okay, Radia?
Thank you. We've had a nice meeting, Business Development Committee. We had a representative from the Committee of the Aging who came and spoke to us. We had a nice conversation about sending back some, feedback and some ideas that we have that might be, or some things that you're trying to get accomplished. I'll be sending that over to you in the next week or so, some bullet points. We also had a representative from New York City Scion come by. New York State Scion is an initiative of small business services to help job seekers with disabilities find employment.
What's that? Is that an abbreviation?
Yeah, SCION.
Okay.
They spoke about the benefits of hiring people with disabilities, with tax breaks, grants to cover accessibility upgrades. So we had a nice presentation about that. And then we'd like to discuss the coffee event that we're still planning, just waiting on dates from Ponce Bank, who will sponsor that event. Still putting it together, hopefully, in the next week or so, we'll have more, yeah, so.
Have you heard from Ponce on an updated date for the press conference?
No.
Okay. We could follow up with Glenda.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, and Indiana.
Thank you. Sure, I'm off mute. All right, so the Housing and Human Services Committee met on May 7th. And we talked about the Rent Guidelines Board reso, and we were supposed to get a presentation from HPD about a development happening on 9th Avenue. I think it's 4095 9th Avenue. For affordable housing, and they're going to have like a STEM science kind of partnership with a nonprofit, and we're supposed to hear about that through like certain scheduling and kind of issues that didn't happen. And so instead, we're going to get that presentation on June 4th. So we invite those interested to attend. We didn't have, because we're going to have that presentation, we didn't have any other community organizations present, but we did have Lori Tobias Cohen from Representative Espaillat's office come and present. And we really appreciated her time because she gave us an update on what what Representative Espaillat is working on, and also just really was so patient to hear all of our questions. And so she's going to report back to us on some things. But some of the highlights were she highlighted that the congressman put in comments opposing some proposed changes to HUD guidelines. And basically, there were some proposed changes that would prohibit mixed status families from living in HUD apartments. And so that would mean like US families that contained US citizens or green card holders and potentially undocumented family members living together. There's already sort of screening and limitations on the amount of assistance that can go towards housing for mixed status families, but this would prohibit them from being eligible altogether. She also mentioned that the congressman is trying to advocate for funding for SNAP to be restored, maybe not fully, but at least some additional funding through the agriculture funding bill, and mentioned that housing is the top issue that they see come through their doors, seeking assistance and connections. There was a specific question about $38 million that Lori had discussed at a previous general board meeting for immigration legal services. We had requested an update on that, and it turns out that we actually never got that money because the president and FEMA basically clawed it back as soon as they could. So even though that money was allocated for immigration services, it was never dispersed. Two other quick things that I wanted to raise. At our meeting, there was an idea by one of our committee members, Sonia, who asked if it was possible to get Metro cards for committee members to come to meetings. And the idea there being that it could help, board members cover the cost. And we weren't sure like the best way to bring that up. Maybe I should have brought that up in new items, but I'm bringing it up now.
Yes, but before you do, I have a point of clarification on the HUD thing. We being Community Board 12 submitted an opposition letter. I just wanted to put that on the record. Liz, go ahead on the Metro card. Or
So the city rules and do state that members of community boards can be reimbursed for reasonable expenses like transportation to meetings. We've never done that. Doesn't mean we shouldn't. I imagine everybody, there are very few people who are walking to these meetings. And I imagine many of the people who take public transportation to meetings are, not hitting their weekly maximum, so it costs them $6 round trip. But I've been on the board for decades and I've never been reimbursed for anything, so I would love that, but do we even have that budget?
I don't know, I would have to crunch the numbers.
Mm,
But let me do that over the course of this month, and then at the June meeting, I'll put it on the agenda.
Because,
To
I mean,
discuss.
I would say if we do, rather than have, some kind of a process where it's a first come, first serve, and some people get reimbursed and some people don't. I would suggest figuring out the extent to which there is budget for this. And then figuring out what that budget is and then dividing it equally among the number of members. On the
Yeah.
assumption that
Yeah,
everybody is getting here.
I'm just not that quick with math. But yes,
Happy to help you on
thanks.
that.
I'm sorry to do this. There was an earlier point I said I would bring up in the June meeting. Does anyone recall what that was?
we all.
I'll just watch the
Got
recording.
a bad, you know.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, so I just wanted to follow up on the point about the Metro cards.
Yeah.
I would advocate
Yeah.
for us, like, why don't we ask the borough president, why does it need to come out of our budget, right? Like, there may be some community boards that don't need reimbursement. And, or where fewer members are interested in receiving reimbursement compared to ours. And that would put, that's a stretch on our budget that another community board may not have. So I would argue, or advocate, I guess, that we would ask the borough president for that first. Yeah, I'll leave it at that for that piece. And then there's just one other thing that I wanted to flag before I finished, just to finish our summary, is we also heard that Con Edison was doing a lot of road work super late at night and has been doing it for like weeks and weeks and weeks. And we put that on Kiana's radar, and she reached out to them and was able to get them to like modify. They're going to revisit the hours that they're working. And so just wanted to shout that out and thank her for it. And then the last thing is we wanted to know, how can we get more district specific statistics about like how many rent stabilized units there are and things like that. So just throwing it out there, we're going to be asking HPD for it, but if anybody else has other ideas, please let us know.
Sounds good. Thank you. You have a question from Steve.
Well, on this last point, Indiana, the Red Guidelines Board itself puts together a voluminous data on the status of rent stabilized apartments prior to the Red Guidelines being determined. So you could also reach out to, I think, you should reach out also to the Red Guidelines Board to ask them for much of this information. And on the Metro card question, why don't you, at the Borough Board, why don't you ask the other community boards how they handle this
Do
question?
that. Yeah, I'll do that. Thank you.
Just further to that, if, as we get into the final weeks of the budget, we have unexpended funds, which we will have to give back, buying a whole bunch of Metro cards and distributing them to members who would like to be reimbursed for travel they've already done. I think in terms of documentation, you really only need the attendance sheets.
Yeah.
And just buy Metro cards and give them out. That's a great way to spend some extra money. It's really fast and it's really easy.
let's see how much it costs, cause I have made a commitment that some of that surplus be used for a retainer for a few
100%.
experts, but yes, I can crunch the numbers and see.
Language access.
And it's no longer, it's no
And
longer
language
Metro,
access.
it's no longer Metro calls.
It's Omni cards.
Yeah, and we still call them token booths, so
Oh, they about to stop that too. About to stop taking change on the bus.
I know.
Language access. Okay, anything else, Indiana?
Nope, that's it for our update.
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Okay, Tanisha moved.
8:44.
Multiple
Thank you,
seconds.
everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.